Hey everyone, this is Trini, the Pink Beekeeper with We Say Bees. I knew I threw a lot at you at our last inspection, so it's just a quick video just to remind you of the steps on what you need to do to check on a hive. First of all, obviously get your smoker ready. Remember, smoker, you can just use anything that you already have. Cardboard, dryer lint, cuttings from your yard, anything. You just want a nice billowy smoke like this. If the smoke does get too hot, what you can do is put fresh greens on top. Just any weed will do. It'll help to temper the heat of the smoker for the bees. So what you're going to do is you are going to smoke at the entrance. And you're going to crack the lid and smoke underneath the lid. Close the lid and wait about 10 seconds for the smoke to permeate before you open up the lid. Once you open up the hive, you take a quick look at the lid, the bees on the lid, just to make sure the queen isn't there. Most of the time, 99% of the time, she's going to be inside somewhere, but it's that 1% of the time I actually did find her on the lid, so now I always make it a habit to take a look. And as you're looking at the bees under the lid, you can also take a look at their wing structure, leg structure, making sure that they physically look healthy. So this hive, see, it's a double deep. The camera so you can see what I see. It's a very happy, thriving hive. Like some of them already have their butts up in the air. They're fanning. Telling the girls, hey, come home. This is home. Alright. So you have two different hive tools. You've got the J-hook. One that just looks like a regular pry bar. This J-hook is really useful in getting underneath the lip of the frame and then using this part as a counter lever to pull it up. So I'm going to pull up this first frame. You use the sharp end to just break up any comb that they've built across the frames. I'm just going to counter lever up, pull that straight up. Loosen the other side. The first frame is always the hardest. So here is the first frame. It's got brand new comb on here. So I'm going to set this off to the side. Now I'm going to use the other side just to wedge it just a little bit. And as needed, you just use your smoker, smoke across the top, just to get them out of the way of your hive tool so you don't accidentally squish anybody. Remember that a bee that dies unexpectedly release a pheromone. I call it the Avenge Me pheromone, so that her sisters know that there's something unnatural going on and they'll be on more alert. So be careful not to accidentally squish any bees. So I'm just going to wedge these apart. So remember, the bees have to keep their brood, their babies, at a constant 89 to 92 degrees to enable them to properly incubate and metamorphosize. So all the babies are going to be right in the middle, so I'm going to choose a frame towards the middle just to check for the brood and eggs. And I'm going to smoke the top just to get them out of the way. Don't want to accidentally squish anybody. I'm going to give yourself enough room so that you can pull the frames up, straight up, not at an angle, straight up. So again, use this the J-hook on one side and on the other side. Kind of lever the frame up, pull it straight up and out. Right. So on this frame, I see a queen cell, a pretty big one. The regular brood is here on the side. See, the caps are pretty flat. These are a little bit more bulbous, and these are drones. These are all the boy bees. Make this a little bit closer. So you can see boy bees over here. girl bees over here, and then that queen cell. So you want to be very careful. This does not have foundation, means it doesn't have that plastic sheet. So this comb could fall off if it was hot enough. So you want to be very careful, never to tilt it sideways. So I'm going to tilt it this way just so I can look and see underneath. Looks like the queen cell. It was used recently. You can see kind of like this tearing portion on the lip means that the lid was taken off. So there was a queen in here, so it means there should be a queen in here somewhere. So right now I'm just taking a look at the hive, see what's going on. I'm going to flip it over to the other side since I have it here. You can see drones, big boy bees, and then the vast majority are the girl bees, the worker bees. I do not see any eggs on this frame, so I'm going to pull up the next frame and see if I can find either the queen or the eggs, evidence that she's been in here recently. A little bit more smoke. So I had expanded this to 2 deep because the top box was getting pretty full. Looking straight down, I can see that they have started building underneath. So you always want to make sure that there's always plenty of room inside the hive. They don't get too crowded, otherwise they will start swarming off, meaning they'll create an extra queen or two. And then the strongest ones will take off and take a part of the hive with them. Obviously, we don't want that just because they may end up somewhere you don't want them to be, like in your eave or your attic or in your tree. So you always want to keep an eye on that. If you can do a split, meaning turn one hive into 2, especially if your hive is really productive and really docile like this hive, then that's a great idea to do. Otherwise, give them the space you need, give them extra boxes so that they can grow and expand during the spring and summer where resources are very abundant. And then as the fall and the winter comes when it's not as abundant, you can just slowly take away some of the boxes so that it's less for them to try to keep warm. So kind of hard to see with the veil on. I think I see some eggs. So I'm going to pause this real quick and turn the camera around so you can see better. Alright. So you see some bees with their butts up. That is just them gorging on honey because I smoked the hive. So see the round little grubby looking things? Those are larvae. Oh, we've got see some nectar there. The glistening liquid is nectar. And then up here is where I thought I saw eggs, but it's kind of hard to see because the comb is so dark. But sometimes the trick of the light's like, is that an egg or not? But I'll have to take a look later. Oh, here, look. There's a bee being born. So there she is. She's eating through that that cap. It's just a mixture of a little bit of propolis, some nectar and pollen. That's basically her first meal. And she'll eat through that and wiggle up through and just basically start working as soon as she's out. And then over here, see some of the denser cells. That's all pollen. And then this over here, that's the capped honey. So in a hive this big, it's very time consuming to try to find the queen. So since I was able to see freshly laid eggs, I'm comfortable to know that she is actually in there somewhere. Just trying to find a queen is like trying to find a large needle in a stack of smaller needles. Forget the haystack. Yeah. So we don't want to keep the hive open for any longer than we have to. So just a quick inspection, 5-10 minutes, 15 minutes tops is usually all the time that you need to make sure that the hive is doing what it's supposed to do. So you always want to make sure that you put the frames back in the same order and the same orientation as originally. This is because, again, since the bees have to keep their brood warm, they order the frames and put the brood in a place that's most thermodynamic for them. So if you change the order of that, it messes up their whole equilibrium. They'll be not happy with you. Some of the clients will actually write on the frames 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up to 10 or 8, depending on how big your box is. That way you know the order of your frames and also the orientation, so you know that if the numbers on that side, it's the same, it's the wrong orientation. In, first frame out and the last frame back in is also always the most difficult. So just want to wedge the frames towards the other end as best as you can. Get the last one back inside. Again, being very careful not to accidentally squish it. And there you go.